work again. So anyone have any questions for me for 3-1, 3-2? Because we're going 3-3 and 3-4 today. 3-4 is a very long section, and 3-4 is all the nitty-gritty stuff inside there. So we'll spend more time on 3-4 today. We'll spend and 3-4 needs 3-3. So the basic stuff is in 3-3. So we definitely have to go through 3.3 first, the basic stuff. So you guys have to get really good on this, the foundation of this basic stuff on 3.3. We call it syntactic division. And then after that, in 3.4, we'll be doing syntactic division for a long, long time. So that's the reason why that we probably might spend 10 extra minutes over for today's class. But if you want to leave, like, you know, at 2:30, you go ahead. Just make sure you watch the video in YouTube. The link is in D2L, so just watch it over there. So today's class, it might be going over 10-15 minutes long, just for you guys. And then if you guys still have questions, stay over after class, so we can talk about your questions. So again, 4 sections of homework due this coming Monday, 3-1 to 3-4. And your midterm is this coming Tuesday at noon. It will be done on Wednesday at noon. It covers chapter 2 and chapter 3. It has 16 questions in the test. Your test will be posted in D2L, and also your test will be sent to you through your school email. So make sure it's in PDF form. So once you got your test, if you want to, I recommend you to print out the test and then write on it and then scan it and send it to me. Make sure you scan the test, you send it to me, not in the Dropbox in the D2L. Some of you think about drop the box in D2L. No, you have to scan and send it to me. If you have no printer or do not want to print the test out, then get some papers, write your name down, sign the pledge, and then do question 1, question 2, and make sure you have room. I told you, right? Don't squeeze everything into one tiny little 2 lines. So make sure that you have rooms to do your work here, because this is very, very important here. So, so anyone have any questions for me before I start with 3.3 today?
Is the test on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday. Is Tuesday at noon. 11:30 noon, and I will post the test in D2L, or I will send it to you in your school email, the nhcc.edu email. And then you got 24 hours to do it, and it's due on Wednesday by noon, the next day by noon. Okay? Anyone have any questions for me? All right. So what we're going to talk about here is doing what we call as 3.3. So mostly on 3.3 here is what we're doing syntactic division. That's very important in this case. So if you doesn't know how to do syntactic division, I'm going to show it to you now. So the notes, you can read through the notes. This is the steps of doing syntactic division here, which is all done here. But today I will show it to you how to do it in your homework questions, so you guys at least know what to do with it when you guys got it done. So syntactic division is actually a division that is quicker than using long division. So a lot of people heard about long division before, like, you know, the long division that you guys used to do, you know, 1173 divided by 55. This is a lot. You guys doesn't like to do this, so you guys know how to do this, I assume. So we are not using this long division to do the work now. So in chapter 3.3 and 3.4, we're doing syntactic division. So how do we perform syntactic division? First thing when you perform syntactic division is make sure that you have to write this in what we call as standard form. What is the meaning of standard form? Standard form means that you have to write from your polynomials high to low power. Okay, so in this case, like question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, they're all in standard form, because you can tell that they go from high to low. If you do not have a standard form, you have to rearrange it so your polynomial go from high to low. And then second, make sure that if you have a missing terms, you have to include 0 as a placeholder. So you have to include 0 as a placeholder. So you notice that the first 4 questions that you see in your homework here doesn't have any missing term. And what do I mean by missing term? Missing term means that if you look at this is power 3, this is power 2, this is power 1, this is a number, no missing term. Okay. You will notice that like this question 5 is not in a standard form because your x squared should come first, next, then after, before the 8x, negative 8. So you have to interchange these two. So this is not in a standard form. This question 7 is what we call as is missing the missing term. And why I say it's missing the missing term is because if you look, there's x cubed, but there's no x squared. So you have to put a 0 for the x squared, and then an x, and then a number. So if you don't put a 0 for your x squared, for your missing term, everything you do in syntactic will be wrong. Okay, so these are the 2 base important stuff. And then the next thing is I'll teach you how to do syntactic division now. So let's start with question 1. This is the most important thing. So very basic and very important. And if you doesn't know how to do this, say goodbye to 1/3 of your test, because 1/3 of the test is all based on this syntactic division. So, so first thing first is if you want to divide this polynomial with x minus 9. So as usual, when you do syntactic division, it looks like a long division that we have. So we need to put a number here. And how do we figure out that number is the number that we divide with. So in this case, we divide with x minus 9. So what do? Is you set this equals to 0 and you solve for x. And this will give me 9. So this 9 will put right here. Okay, this is how we figure out the 9. It comes from what you divide with. And then the next thing is you have to put in all the coefficients of the polynomials inside here. Coefficient means numbers and the sign. Like the first coefficient is 6. This is power 3. Okay. And then the next one is negative 57. And then the next one is 36. Make sure you get some room, spread out the numbers a little bit so you got some room to write on. So make sure you have some room, like I spread out these 4 numbers. Okay, so these are the coefficients of the polynomial. So what you need to do next is I draw a line underneath here. So you have make sure you have some room underneath these numbers. So please pay attention here. This is very, very important. And then the next one, you guys have to do it. So this 6, you drop it. So always drop the 6. And then you multiply. You multiply the 6 and the 9, and you put that number over here. So 6 times 9 is 54. Okay. And then once you finish, you add this number. Always add, not subtract, always add. So negative 57 plus 54 is negative 3. And then you repeat the same. You take 9 times negative 3. This is negative 27. And then again, you add these 2 numbers, always add. So 36 plus negative 37, or 36 minus 27, you end up with a 9. And then 9 times 9 is 81, and you get 0. Negative 81 plus 81 is 0. So this is how we perform a syntactic division. And this is the thing that you have to understand. The 0 over here is what I call as your remainder. So remember, every time when you divide divide by a number, you always sometimes you get a remainder. So this telling us that if you have 0, it has no remainder, means it divides evenly. Okay. Another words we say in this section is if you got a remainder of 0, then we can say that it is a factor. X minus 9 is a factor of this polynomial. Sometimes we say that 9 is a solution, or sometimes we say 9 is a 0. So this is the part that you have to know, that you get 0 here. Now the remaining of this is going to be your polynomial. So usually you look at what power you start with. You start at power 3. So this one will be power 2. It's like a standard form. Then this will be power 1. And this will be a constant. So your answer for question 1 in this case will be 6x squared minus 3x plus 9. So this is your answer. Okay. Now, because there's no remainder here. Okay. So what happens that if your remainder is, let's say, is 10, example. Okay. What happens if your remainder is 10, not 0, but 10? Then your answer will be 6x squared minus 3x plus 9. And then this is a positive, so you have a positive 10. If it's a negative, then you say it's negative. And then you over by what you divide. So this question you divide with x minus 9, so you put x minus 9. So this is how you write your answer if you have a remainder. If you do not have a remainder, then you just give me the one inside here. You guys with me here? Okay, now I want you guys to try to do question number 3. Everyone do question 3. I want you to use syntactic division to divide this. Looks something like question 1. I want you guys to go ahead and do question 3. And then you have to private message me, not message me, just private message me on the chat room, your answer in this case. Okay, go ahead. I'll give you 4 minutes. Go ahead and try to do number 3. Everyone. Here is an example. You can look at it. Private message me your answer once you're done. I have to do it too. Number 3, question 3. So question 3. Everyone has to do question 3. Make sure you multiply and then you add. And if you need a calculator, you can use your calculator. This one, I think you have to use a calculator. It's a big number. Yep, you have to use a calculator for this question. This is huge. Where's my calculator? Yep, you're fine. Okay, Matt, you're fine. Just drive safely. Yep, drive safely, Matt. Don't worry about it. Drive safely. Yep. Hannah, you're fine. Don't worry about that. Yep, already done. So we'll see how many of you can do this. Again, class, you need to know how to do syntactic division for this. Today's class is a third of your 6, 25, 74. I don't get to not 243. Kiana where? The last number is not 243, not 250. It's not Josh, you get it right. Lindsay, check your 76. That is wrong. You have to give Harry. You have to give me the whole thing. Just give me the numbers. If you want, just give me the numbers. Oh, yeah, you have to do number 3 on this my homework here, not your homework. Yeah, it's gonna be weird number, Derek. Yep. you're gonna be, you just give me the number, like here, give me 6, -3, 9, and then put R, remainder. Yep, don't do yours, do mine. My homework, not your homework. Yep. Not 6, Pasi is not 64. 6 is correct, 25 is correct, 64 is wrong. So 1 is wrong, everything is wrong. Yep. Derek, I hope you can get into your work. I mean, I hope so. 6, 25, 75 is wrong. Mary, 75 is wrong. Nayara, 75 is wrong. Yep. You got the first two right, just the 75 is wrong. Yep. So both of you are wrong. The only person that got it right so far is Jackson is right, and Josh is right. Josh S and Jackson Dawes is right. Both of you get it right, which is good. The rest of you, good try, but no. Just give me the numbers, Harry, if you want to. Just give me like 6, -3, 9, and the R. If you don't have time to give me the whole, but in your test and in your online homework, you do have to write down the whole polynomial. Because of this case, we don't have time to type in the whole polynomial case. So yeah, yep, Jackson, your answer is correct. Kayana, where your answer is correct. Yep, the new one is. Yep, Harry, you are correct. Yep, you can do it that way too, Harry. Just don't do this in your test or your homework because they will mark you wrong. I will give you wrong too. So make sure you type in as this one. I'll send it to you, Harry. Yep, make sure you type in like something like that, Harry. Okay. So nope, that is wrong, Nayara. I know it's iPhone is hard to type for you. Yep, Lindsay, you got it right. Yep, that is correct. Yep, Harry, I got you. Yep, yeah, you got it correct. You just need to type it in that form in the test and your online homework. All right. Mostly students make mistake. Yep, Pasi, that is correct. Oh no, not correct. Not 249. Can you check the last number 249 for me? 249 is wrong, Pasi. Last number is wrong. So how do we do this is, I'm going to do this. So for question 3, so you divide this with 3. Where you get this 3 form is from x minus 3. And then you put in all the coefficient here, 6, 7, -1, don't forget the -1, and a 22. So what you do first is drop the 6, okay? And then multiply 3 and 6, you become 18. And then you add this up, you get 25. And then you, make sure you add. And then you multiply 3 and 25, you get 75. Now this is one a lot of students make mistake. You add this up. But when you add this up, yes, Pasi, you get it right, it's 74. And now you need to take 3 times 74. You have to use your calculator. 3 times 74 is 222. And then you have to add this up. This will become 244. Yep, that's where you get. So this 244 at the very end is your remainder. So this start with the power 3. So your answer here will be, this will be power 2, 1 less. So don't forget, you start with power 3. This one was 1 less. If you start with power 4, then this is power 3. Okay, so this is power 3. So your answer should be 6x squared plus 25x plus 74 plus 244 over by what you divide with, in this case, x minus 3. Yep, you guys thought they were good. Okay, good. You guys know how to do this. I'm happy. Now, if you get question like number 5 or number 6, what you guys need to do is just rearrange this. Okay, rearrange your x squared and x, and then you just do the same thing, which is not that tough. But number 7 is the one that I want to point out to you. So when you guys do question number 7, so yes, we make the 11 become 0. So that means you get -11. This is for number 7 here. So you have a negative 11 here when you divide. So this is the one I want to point out to you here is your x cubed is a -1. Your x squared is missing. So if you have a missing term, you have to put a 0. No 0, everything is wrong. Okay. And then you got a 92 for the next one. And then the last one is a -319. All right, I want you guys to go ahead and do number 7. I reset it up for you here right now. So go ahead and try number 7 now. This has been set up. The only thing you need to watch out here is this 0. This 0 is the one that a lot of students forget. And if you forget, you get a 0 in the test. So be careful with that 0. Okay. So go ahead and try to do number 7, syntactic division. Don't forget to drop the -1 down. Always drop the first number down. And if you want, you can just give me these 4 numbers like 6, 25, 74, 244. If you're lazy to type the polynomial, if you're lazy to type this whole polynomial out, just give me these numbers and I'm fine with it. So definitely you start with -1 first. So this is question 7, where 0 is missing, so you have to do that. And yes, this question, this 3 or this -11 can be fraction. Yes, this can be fraction. It can be also square root, like square root of 2, and it also can be I. So I just want to point out to you that you can do syntactic division on numbers, fractions, I squared. That means all real numbers. Any numbers you can divide with. But fractions you can use a calculator to play with it. I is the one that is tricky. Well, the next section you will see something with an I and a square root on it. We'll talk more about that. All right, number 7. Remainders, I haven't done that yet. I'm just yapping here. I'll check the answer in this case, Pasi. You guys are faster than me now. Use your calculator. Yeah, the numbers get really big here. I have to use a calculator too. I don't think so. The remainder is 0. No, Pasi, your remainder is not 0. It's a really big number. Is that one? No. Lindsay is wrong. Wow, you guys give me big numbers here. Lindsay is wrong. Pasi is wrong. Remainder is not 0. Josh, you don't get 103x. That's not correct. Double check with your calculator. Okay, this is number 7. Double check with the calculator. Remainder, let me see. Let's say Josh, Lindsay, you don't get 1x. Lindsay, your 1x is wrong. Your second number is wrong. You don't get 213, Cayenne, where 213 is wrong. If 213 is wrong, that means the one at the back is wrong. Nayara, you get 0? I don't get 0. Do you guys get 0? No, I don't get 0. Oh. My bad. Wait. 99 times. Yep, you get 0. I am so sorry. So in this case that Nayara, you're correct. And Pasi, you're correct. Nayara and Pasi is correct. Alina, you are wrong. You should not get 3, 4, 8 as a remainder. So class, you have to practice this. Yes, you are correct, Harry. That is correct. So, so please practice. And I told you this is a use your calculator. So what you do first is you multiply negative 11 with 11. Yep. Tina, you can ignore the 0. Since you don't have a remainder, you do not need to type the 1 at the back. Just give me the negative x squared minus, should be plus 11x, Elijah. Plus 11x minus 29. So negative 11 times 1 is 11. Don't forget, this is positive 11. No, Mary is wrong. Completely wrong. So pay attention, Mary. So you drop the negative 1. So negative 11 times negative 1 is 11. Lindsay, there's no remainder here. Okay, so everyone please watch what I'm doing here. So you got 11. Negative 11 times 11 is negative 121. So you have to add these two numbers and use your calculator to add. This is big numbers and you will get negative 29 here, not 213 or 121 or weird numbers. You get negative 29 and then you use your calculator, multiply negative 11 to negative 29, you get 319 positive. And this will get 0. So you don't have a remainder in this case. So no remainder. Your answer should be negative x squared plus 11x minus 29. This is your answer here. And you do not need to include everything, the 0 at the back. So this is your answer in this case. So I do recommend you guys to go ahead and try this because again, the questions just keep on popping up. If you look at this all the way till number 13, okay? So I want you guys to make sure you guys know how to do this. So let's talk about how we do question 13 because 13 they want you to write fx as x minus k qx plus r. Now what is going on is that x minus k, the x minus k is what, this is your k in this case. So some of you was asking what is k. So if they want you to write in this form, the k in this case is what you divided with, like 3 or negative 11 or something else. And then this fractions, the one inside here, is called your qx. That's what we call as a quotient. So qx, and then this will be your r. So if I want you to write f of x for this question in terms of this, then the answer is f of x equals to x is still x minus k. K in this case is 3. And then qx is all these things, which is 6x squared plus 25x plus 74. And then add the remainder, and the remainder here is 244. So if I want you to do question 3 and write in the form of this, fx, x minus k, qx plus r, this is the form. And then the question say, what is fk equals to r? Then your answer is just 244. So this 244 will be on your second one, okay? So I'm gonna do question number 14 because it's a fraction. So make sure you guys have a calculator ready because 14 is a fraction. So what we're gonna do in question 14 is, this question is given as k is 1/5. So that means that when you divide this, you put 1/5. You do not need to switch the sign or you not. So if they give you k, that is where the k goes. So if a k is negative, you put negative. If k is positive, it's positive. And then you put in all your coefficient here. So 15, negative 23, negative 3, and 4. Now what you need to do is use your calculator, change 1/5 into decimals. Does anyone know 1/5 in decimal is? Point what? 1/5 in decimals? You got a calculator, right? 1/5? 0.2, yep. Change it to 0.2. Yep, 0.2. Because I recommend to use decimal than fraction because you tends to have less mistake if you use decimal. So drop the 15 as usual. Multiply the 15 with the 0.2. So 15 times 0.2. Anyone know what's 15? 7.5, right? So 7.5? Only my calculator. 15 times 0.2. 3. What the heck? 3. Sorry about that. It is exactly 3. Calculator. And then add these two up, you get negative 20. And then multiply it by 0.2 again. So negative 20 times 0.2 is negative 4. Yep, don't forget the negative. If you forget the negative, everything is wrong. So it's negative 4, not 0.4. And then add this up, become negative 7. And then multiply that by 0.2 again. So negative 7 times 0.2 is negative 1.4, right? And then add this up. So you will get 2.6. Okay, so this is your remainder. And this is your quotient. Oh, sorry, this is your quotient, QX. Okay, so my question to you is, you have to change 2.6 into fraction. So how do you change 2.6 into fraction? Is this a 1 decimal, so you over 10. If it's 2 decimals, you over 100. So you put the decimals over 10. And then change it to become improper. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 plus 6 is 26. So this is 26 over 10. And then reduce. This one can be reduced by 2. So when you reduce by 2, this will become 13 over 5. So this is how we, because your homework wants your answer in fraction, not decimals here. So how do you write your answer as the f of x form? So to do question 14, so first thing is x minus k, and your k in this case is the one that we divide here. This is your k, don't forget. Don't use 0.2, they want fraction. So it's 1 over 5. We use 0.2 to simplify work. And then qx, all this will go to your qx. 15x squared, this is your qx, minus 20x minus 7, and then plus the fraction, this 2.6, which is 13 over 5. We just do that. Okay, this is how we do question A, the part A here. For part B, they ask you to find what's F15. You just give me the remainder, in this case, 13 over 5. So usually when they ask you to find what is F15, F15 in this case, they're asking you to figure out what is your remainder. I mean, you can plug 15 into your X here. You can, 1/5, you can plug 1/5 into your X here. But the shortcut way is just take your remainder here. And if this remainder is wrong, definitely this answer will be wrong. Okay, so this is how we do this kind of questions, how we write this in this form. So it's very, again, syntactic division is a must. Next is question number 15 and 16. Let's do number 15. They want you to use syntactic division to prove this is a 0. So how do we do that? To prove it, you have to syntactic it. So how do we syntactic this? Is you got a -4 here. Okay, and then what you do next is you put in the coefficient. Anyone know what to put in the coefficient here? The -4, this is for question 15. Question 15, right here. So what coefficient should we put underneath here? Just type in the numbers. Anyone know what number to put in? So -4 come from your x here. Anyone?
1 minus
1.
37
I'm
minus
sorry.
37 minus 37
No,
minus 80.
that is wrong.
1, 0, D4.
0, yes.
Oh,
You need
yeah.
the 0 because it's missing x squared term. This is the part that is dangerous. If you don't give me the 0, everything is wrong. And negative 37 and negative 84. Yep. So now syntactic division this. You drop the 1. Multiply this, negative 4. Put it up here. Add this, negative 4. Multiply this, becomes 16. 16, sorry. And add this is 16. Add this, what you got? Negative, is that 21, right? So negative 21, yep. Use your calculator, yep. And then negative 4 times negative 21 is 84. 0. So if you do question 15, they want you to show that this is x is a solution. This is how we show the x is solution. So in order for us to show x is a solution, your remainder has to be 0. If your remainder is not 0, you have to recheck your work. So for question 15, 16, 17, anything above 15 here, your remainder should be 0 to show that it is a solution. Otherwise, you will get it wrong. Otherwise, check your work. Okay. Next, they want you to use this result to factor this. So you need to factor this, the qx. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 21 equals to 0. So you have to factor this. So this is an easy factor because your leading coefficient is 1. So you do not need to use your AC method. So can someone tell me what is the number should we use here for negative 21? What times what is 21? When you add them, it has to be negative 4. There's only a pair of number words here.
Minus 7 and 3.
7 and 3, very good. Which one is negative? Which one is positive?
7 is negative.
Very good. 3 is positive. This is a correct factor. And then you solve each of them equals to 0. So what happens when you set this equals to 0? X in this case is 7. And when you set this equals to 0, x in this case is negative 3. So this is your answer. But do not forget that you need one more, which is negative 4 that you divide. So you should have 3 answers here because it is power 3. So if you have power 3, you should have 3 answers. If you have power 2, you have 2 answers. If you have power 4, you have 4 answers. So your answer in this case will be 7, negative 3, and negative 4. I think they want, yep. So I just put it in order. Negative 4, small to big, negative 3, and 7. So this is how we do these questions for 15 and 16. Same thing with 17 is you just need to divide this with negative 3s doing syntactic and positive 2 doing syntactic. And then after that, the question wants you to figure out what is the remaining factor. So this, as you know, you have power 3. This question has already 2 factors. So you just need to figure out what is the missing factor. So let's do one of them and figure out what is the remaining factor. So I just perform one of the syntactic division here. So negative 3, I'll just do this one. 2, 1, negative 13, and 6. So again, you drop the 2. This will give me negative 6 when you multiply. Add this up, become negative 5. Multiply this will become positive 15. This is 13. Sorry, my bad handwriting. It's hard. So this is negative 2. And then negative 3 times negative 2, this is positive 6. No, this is positive 2, sorry. See, I can tell it's something wrong because it's not add up 0. This is positive 2, then this is a negative 6. This came out to be 0. So this is, again, the reason why I stopped just now and say something is wrong because it's a positive 6. So I recheck my work here. So don't forget, this came out to be 0 here. So what you need to do is you have to factor this like what we just did over here. So this is a 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals to 0. So you have to factor this. So the factor in this case is 2x and x. You have to do the AC method or trial and error. And then to make 2, you have to take 1 and 2, and then you subtract. So this is a factor for this 2x squared minus 5x plus 2. So your x in this case. So what happens for your remaining factor is you already have x plus 3, which we did it here. X minus 2 is over here. So the remaining factor for this that is not shown here is 2x minus 1. So this is what you need to put it down here as 2x minus 1. That is the missing factor in this case. Okay, and then you need to write this in a complete factorization. That is easy. You just put all this factor together. So you will become x plus 3, x minus 2, and then 2x minus 1. So this is how you write all this in a complete factorization. And then after that, you solve them equals to 0. So this will become negative 3 if you make that equals to 0. This will make it 2 if you make it 0. And this will become 1/2 if you make it 0. So this is how we answer this. And then how do we get your answer is make sure that it has, this 0 is your x-axis, x-intercept. So it has to be crossed over at 1/2, 2, and negative 3. So negative 3 is this one. This one doesn't cross at negative 3. This one crosses at negative 2. This one crosses at negative 3. But 1/2. This is 1/2 and this is 2. So the answer in this case will be this answer because it crossed at negative 3, 1/2, and 2. So this is how you figure out. You don't need a graphing to anything. You just need to know that this is your x-intercept and this is how you do your x-intercept here. Okay. So so this is how we do 3.3 here. So make sure you guys know how to do these questions here. And it's not too bad, 3.3. 3.4 is the hardest one. Okay. So so when I ask you how many zeros do we have here, you look at the highest power. So like this one, the highest power is 5. So this one will have 5 zeros. What do you mean by 5 zeros? That means that if you look at the graph, when you have 3 zeros, means this graph will intercept on your x-axis at 3. That's called a zeros or x-intercept. So when you have 5 zeros, means this graph will intercept and your x-intercept 5 times. This one will have 7 because the highest power is 7. So this is how you figure out the zeros, which is very straightforward. Next is the rational zero test. This is super, super important. Okay. So what is a rational zero test? This is so important that it is like, pay attention. Yep. So how do we figure out the rational zero test? So this is a formula for rational zero test here. So in order for us to do the rational zero test, there you go. Rational zero test, this is super important, that's why I put stars on it, is you take the factor for the first coefficient, your leading coefficient, and you take the factor of your constant term, your n terms, and you give me all the factors that you can have. Okay, all the factors that you can have. And then after that, you divide them. So you give all the factors for P, which is the one on the top one. And then you give me the factor for Q, which is the leading coefficient. And then you give me all the possible ways that you can divide these two. So I'm going to show to you how to do this in this homework question number 9, using a rational zero test to list all the possible rational zeros. So first thing first is, you need to give me your P's and your Q's. And how do we do P's? P's is, oh my God, 625, are you kidding me? 625, in a test, I won't give you 625. It's a lot of work. So you have to give me all the possible factors for 625. 1 and 625 is one of them. Yep. So what times what is 625? So if you have a calculator, I will begin to use it and divide I know 5 goes in there. I might try 2. I'm gonna go from 2, 3, 4, 5. So I take 625 divided by 2. It's decimal, so no good. 625 divided by 3. Decimals is no good. 625 divided by 4. Decimal is no good. And then you do 5. So 5 will work. So 5 and 125 will work. Yep. And I think that, and then 25, yes, 25 times 25 is also 625. So these are all the factors for 625. Again, I told you before in the test, I won't give you 625. I probably give you 25, easy. Q is a factor for the leading coefficient. The good news is 1, this is 1. So how do you figure out what is the rational zero? Is you take all this P divided by your Q. So your answer in this case will be 1, 5, 25, 125, 625. But in order for you to do that, you have to give me plus minus. Plus minus 1, plus minus 5, plus minus 25, plus minus this, and plus minus 625. Now, as you guys know that your online homework doesn't like plus minus. So how do you do this in your online homework is you have to do positive 1, negative 1, positive 5, negative 5, positive 25, negative 25. You have to type all this out twice, 1 for positive and 1 for negative. And that is the only way you can do it in your online homework. So they are very picky. So this is, I just want to point out to you, this is what you have to type in here. They don't like plus minuses. You have to do it twice. In my test, yes, you do plus minuses. So this is how you find your rational zeros in this case. Okay. So, and then the graph, you can use your graphing calculator to do it, but I don't really care about the graph. I really care about how you find these numbers. Next, you have to find the rational zeros. So if you look at these two questions, the question 9, they want you to do the list. So this is the list we're talking about, okay? So this is just a possible, there are possible zeros. But this question 10, this is actually is rational zeros. So in this case that you have to actually find the zeros. And finding this is actually, is like finding needle in a haystack. So I'm going to teach you how to do this one. So in order for you to do this one is you have to do the P over Q like what we just did just now here. So, so in this case that P is all the factor for 6, which is very easy. 1, 2, 3, and 6, because those are the factor for 6. And then Q in this case is a factor for 1. So in this case it's 1. And then you do the same thing, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3, plus minus 6. So this is the possible rational zeros. And if you give me this, put it here, plus minus 1, 2, 3, 6, you will get wrong because this question doesn't ask for possible. Like here they ask for possible. This question asks for the rational. So what you need to do is you have to take out of these 8 choices, you have to give me 3 zeros. That means when you do your syntactic division, it will be 0 in this case. You have to do it 3 times. So the first thing is 1. I show you how to do it. 1. And then don't forget, there's no x squared in the middle. So you have to slot in the 0. Don't forget that. No x, the 0 here. Negative 7 and negative 6. So now you feel like, what is your lucky number here? 1, 2, 3, 6. So we do 1 and try. Okay, well, so this is what we call as try and error. So we try 1 first. And we want our remainder to become 0. If your remainder not become 0, then 1 is not a good number. So let's do 1 first. So 1 times 1 is 1. Drop the 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 7 times 6 is negative 6. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. This doesn't give me 0. Okay, so that means 1 is no good. 1 is not good doesn't mean negative 1 is not good. So now what you need to do here is once you try 1, you need to try the negative 1 and see how is that. So you actually have to try both of them, positive and negative. So 1, negative 1 times 1 give you negative 1. Add this up, become negative 1. -1 times -1 is 1. So this will give me -6. -1 times -6, this give me +6. This give me 0. So that means that this one, it works. So we are looking for zeros down here. So, so if this -1 doesn't work, you have to try with 2 and then -2, 3, -3, 6, and -6. But once of them is worked, then you're good enough because this is a quadratic form. So this is x squared minus x minus 6. So you can actually factor this, x minus 3 and x plus 2. So that means that the 0 in this case will, then you set this all equals to 0. So the 0 in this case will be 3, -2, and don't forget the -1 that you used syntactic division early on. So your answer in this case is -2, -1, and 3. So this is your answer in this case. And you found out that when you do this, this is your answer here. It is part of your zeros, your possible zero. Remember your possible zeros that you found? We have -2, we have -1, and we have 3. You find out that this answer that you have is part of this answer, which is, that means that you can try with -1, or you can try with -2, or you can try with 3, you still get 0 in this case. So this is how we find the rational zeros for this kind of questions. And yes, this question 10 and 11 and 12, they are all going to be in your test coming out on Tuesday. So make sure you guys do that. So this is all power 3. So which is not bad. We'll do one with the power 4. If you see anything with power 4, I don't see. Ah, there you go. This is a power. Okay, so let's say that if you have a power 4, I'll do one with power 4. Let's do something else. So let's do this one with power 4. Number, where was it? Where? Power 4. It's my power 4 when? I saw it just now. Oh, so let me give you an example of power 4. I have it over here in my notes. So when you do power 4, there you go. This is a power 4 here. When you do power 4, you still need to do your P and Qs, which is 24 and 9. So 24 is, the factor of 24 is 1, 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. And the factor for 9 in this case is 1, 3, and 9. So these are all the factors. So what you do is you have to divide all this with 1. So if you take all this number divided by 1, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. And then you take all this number divided by 3. So you got 1/3, 2/3. 3 over 3 is 1. We have it already. 4/3. 6 over 3 is 2. We have that. 8 over 3. And then 12 over 3 is 4. We have it. 24 over 3 is 8. We also have it. So then you take all this number divided by 9. So this is how difficult your rational zero, if you have multiple number at the bottom here, you have to take that divided by 1 and then 3 and then 9. So 1 over 9, 2 over 9, 3 9 is 1/3. We have that. 4 9, 6 9 is 2/3. We have that already. And then 8 over 9, 12 over 9 is 4 over 3, and 24 over 9 is 8 over 3. So the 9 in this case is 1 9, 2 9, 4 9, 8 9. And then what happens when you have a power 4, you have to perform syntactic division twice. So you have to figure out of all these numbers, 4 of them will be your answer. 4. There are so many possible ways here. So how do we figure out is you have to do try and errors. So so -2 is here. Kona, I need to talk to you after class. -2 here. So when you do -2, you find out that it works. Okay, because a 0 is remainder. So what happened is this is for power 4. So if you have a power 4 here, so you have to redo one more time. So in this case, I will take the leftover from the power 4 and I do the syntactic one more time with 3, and then it came out to be 0. So now this power 3 will become power 2. Then I can factor it. So usually what happens in this case when you do this rational zero is if you have power 3, you only need to do syntactic division one time. But if you have a power 4, you have to do the syntactic division twice. So what happens is when you do power 4, when you do the first one, the power 4 will become power 3. And then you do it one more time, the power 3 will become power 2. So our main goal here is to do syntactic division until you reach this number become power 2. Then we can factor it, or we can use quadratic formula for it. Okay, so that's the reason why that when you have power 4, I won't give you power 5 or power 6 because that is very tough. If I give you power 5, you have to do syntactic division 3 times until you reach power 2. Then you can factor it, which is going to go crazy. So in your test, it's usually power 3 or power 4. I don't give you 5 or 6. Okay, it's too high. Okay. Next, we have giving you equations here. So they give you the zeros. They want you to give me the polynomial equation. So last time I give you the equations, you give me the zeros. Now I give you the zeros the other way around, and you give me the polynomial equations. So the first thing is, do not forget that there is a conjugate zero theorem that is very important. What is the conjugate zero theorem says? The conjugate zero theorem says that, this is the conjugate zero theorem. If a plus bi is a 0, a minus bi is also a 0. So that means that if you have I terms, you have to know that there are multiple I terms, 2 I terms. So for question number 17 here that you're doing, this is an I term here. So you actually have to put in another I term, which is the positive 3i, the conjugate. So when you guys have a complex number, you have to include a conjugate terms. Then that means that this has 3 zeros in this case, not 2. The question gave you 2, you got 3 actually. And then how do we figure this one out is you begin to put x minus to make it as a factor. So this 4 become x minus 4. This one become x minus 3i. Minus minus means you plus. And then this one is x minus plus 3i. And again, minus plus is minus. So this, you have to write this in the factor form first, and then you FOIL it out. So the first thing you need to do is you have to FOIL this 2 out because the I term is icky. So do not, I mean, you can FOIL the first 2, then you get all icky. So I recommend you to FOIL the last 2. So when you FOIL the last 2, you will get x squared. And don't forget, because they are the same terms with positive and negative, your middle term will cancel out. So you just need to do the first and the last. The inside outside will cancel out. You will get a negative 9i squared because positive times negative is negative. 3i times 3i is 9i squared. This is something that you guys need to pick it up here this is complex number. I squared in this case is always equals to -1. This is something that you guys need to know. And you have to plot this inside here. So that means this will become -1. So -9 times -1, this will give me +9. And then what you need to do next is the x minus 4 that you have to FOIL it one more time. So this question you have to FOIL it twice. So you have to FOIL it again. X times x is x cubed. X times 9 is +9x. And then -4 times x is -4x squared. And then -4 times -9 is -36. So this is the answer for question number 17. Okay. Yep. It's almost time here. I mean, go ahead and write present down for those attendants. So please type in your present. I told you already today we're gonna spend extra 10 to 15 minutes because this section here is a bit longer. So so I want you guys to figure if you can stay, you stay a bit longer. If you cannot stay, you may go. But please watch the video. It's in the link because today's class might take 10-15 minutes longer because this is a little bit tough work here. Okay, so so this is when you have a -3. Yep, go ahead and do your attendance here. So what happens if you do question 18? Again, class, these kind of questions will be in your test on Tuesday. That's the reason why I spend a bit more time here. So again, you have -1 as your 0. You got 9 as your 0, and you got 3 minus 2i as your 0. And does anyone know what you have also another 0 here? Does anyone know what is another zeros you have here? Anyone got?
Was 2i?
Yes, 3 plus 2i. This is automatically 1 point in your test. If you give me the conjugate here, 1 point. Then next, you have to write this in the factor form. So how do you write this in the factor form is you kind of like take this, put an x in front, and then you switch all your sign. Switch all your sign. So in this case, x in this case, the negative one become +1, switch your sign. The 9 will become -9. Now for the I terms, you switch both of the sign. So in this case, your 3 is a positive, become negative. Your 2i is a negative, become positive. And then you do the same thing for the other one. So 3 is become negative because it's a positive, and 2i here is also negative. So this is how you put this in a factor form. And then you need to void. This time you have to void this 2, and you have to void the I ones. So this 2, the foiling is easy because there's no I term. So you got, yep, Elijah, you're fine. Yep, if you had to go to work, just watch the YouTube. I post it in YouTube. X squared, and then you void this one, you get a -8x minus 9. So this one is void very quickly. You can void this easily because I know this is easy void. This is a difficult void. Do you know why I say this is a difficult void? It's because this is 3 terms and this is 3 terms. So when you void 3 and 3, 3 times 3 is 9. So you should get 9 terms here. So this will be a super long voiding. So in this case, I erase a 3 so you don't get confused with the 3. So when you void this, x times x is x squared. X times 3 is -3x. X times 2i is -2xi. So this is the first x term, and then you take the -3 and kind of distribute. So -3 times x is -3x. -3 times -3 is +9. -3 with -2i is 6i. And now you do the 2i. 2i times x is 2xi. And then 2i times 3 is -6i. Sorry, my writing. And then this will give me a -2 times 2 is 4i squared. Now I want to point out to you that this 9 terms that you have, all your, yep, I understand, Pasi. All your I terms will cancel out. So you notice that your 2xi is cancel out, your 6i is cancel out, and don't forget your I squared become -1. So if you look at these 9 terms, your I term, your complex term is all gone. So this is something that I want to point out to you. If you do this in your test, yes, it's in your test, you'll find out that when you void these 2 I terms, all of them, the I is all gone. No more I. If you find out that there is an I term somewhere here, you did something wrong in the voiding, or something is wrong in the factoring. So that's the reason why that I want to point out to you this is all gone. So when you combine like terms here, you will get x squared, and then -6x, 3x is 6x, and then -9, and then this -4 times -1, this is a +4. So 9 plus 4 is 13. And that is just foiling this 2. And don't forget, we foil the first 2, which is x squared minus 8x plus 9. And what you need to do now is you have to foil it one more time. So this question is really tough. And because there are 4 zeros, your power should be x4. So when you first foil the first one, you get x4. You know you're in the right track because your highest power is x4 because you got 4 zeros here. If you got x5 or x3, something is wrong. And then you foil x2 with -6x, you got -6x cubed. And then you foil x squared with 13, you got +13x squared. And then you do -8x times x squared is -8x cubed. So I'm gonna put it right here so it's easy for us to read after that because this is, I gather all the x cubed in one side. And then this negative times negative is +48x squared. And then -8x times positive, this is negative, I think it's 104x. And then you do the same thing for the 9. So you got 9x squared here minus 54x. 9 times 6, 54. And then 9 times 13. Oh, this one is 100 and I think 27 something. Let's see. 13 times 9. Calculators. 117. And then after that, you just combine like terms, and then that's your answer in this case. So this is how we do question number 18. So yes, this kind of question 17 and 18 will be asked in. So a lot of questions in this section 3.4 will be asked in your test. So make sure, that's why it's very important. All right, so next, question number 20. So this question 20 already given us a 0, 3i. So you need to find another 0. So, so 3i is 0. Can someone tell me what is also 0 in this case besides 3i? We just talked about it early on. Anyone know what's the begin? Well, what we talk about the conjugate. Remember the conjugate? So what will be 0 in this case? Yep, negative 3i will be 0. So in this case, you have to use syntactic division on complex number. So we start with 3i. So we have the 4, we have the 5, we have the 36, and you have the 45. Yep, I'm going to put this a bit more spread because this one is going to be icky. As usual, you drop the 4. And then you multiply that, become 12i. Now you cannot add these two up because they are not like terms. So you will get 5 plus 12i. Okay. And now you have to take 3i and distribute to this. This is the part that is a difficult part. Is 3i times 5 plus 12i. So you have to really distribute this and put that answer right below this 36. So 3i times 5 is 15i. And then 3i times 12 is 36 I squared. But I squared will make him negative because I squared is -1. So you have to have a minus 36 here. And then when you add these two, the 36 and minus 36 will cancel. You get 15i. Now you multiply 15i with 3i. So 3 times 4, 15 is 45. And I times I is I squared. And I squared will make him negative. So this will make him 0. So as you guys remember that if it's 0, your remainder should be 0. So that means you're doing a 0 here. You got it correct. Now what you do is, because we know another 0, the complex 0, the conjugate, the 3 negative 3i. So now you begin to do one more time with negative 3i. I will guarantee you that this one is going to be easier than the one you did above. So you still drop the 4. So when you multiply this, you get negative 12i. And you notice that the 12i will cancel, you get 5. And then when you multiply negative 3i with 5, you get negative 15i. And you also notice that this also will cancel. So you notice that when you do syntactic division on the second conjugate, you notice these two will all cancel out. The I term, no more I term. If you do this, you're going right. But if you do it and your I term cannot cancel, something is wrong with this syntactic. So you have to check back your previous one. Okay. So what you left in this case is 4, 5. So if you want to write this is very easy. This is 4x plus 5. Because you got two terms, it's binomial, 4x plus 5. So what is your 0 in this case is you set this equals to 0. So x in this case is negative 5 over 4. So your 0 in this case will be 3i, negative 3i, and negative 5 over 4. So you will get 3i, negative 3i, and 5 over 4. So this is how you do this question number 20. So first you need to figure out your conjugate. You have to use your syntactic division twice with your I terms, and then the last term came out to be a number, and that will be all your zeros in this case. So it's a bit tough And then I give you one last one is 24, because these are all coming up in your test. So 24 is the last one. So in order for us to do question number 20, let's do 25. This is harder because it's power 4. So first thing is they have to require you to write this in the linear factors, and then after that list all the zeros. So first thing what you need to do is because we doesn't know, this question doesn't give us any zeros. The previous question, they provide us zeros. That's why we can divide syntactically. But for this kind of questions, they don't give you zeros, so you have to do the PQs. So P in this case is 25. So the good news is it's not too bad. It's 1, 5, and 25. Not too bad, because 25, these are the factors for it. And Q in this case is the leading coefficient is 1. So your possible zeros here is plus minus 1, plus minus 5, and plus minus 25. So you can at least try a few of this. So I'm going to try with 1. Hopefully it works. So 1, 10 is power 3. 26 is power 2, 10, and 25. So what you do is you drop the 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1. Add this up is 11. 1 times 11 is 11. Add this up is 37. And I can tell I do not need to continue working this out. This one doesn't work. Why I say it doesn't work is because this keep on getting positive. It won't end up with 0. So I'm going to change this to become minus. So I put a minus 1 here. So this is a lot of trial and error that you see me doing here. So this one is, that's why it's tough. So this will give me 9. So negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. So this one is getting smaller. This one is 15, right? 17. Yep, 17. And then 1 times is negative 17. This one also doesn't work because don't get you 0. So that means this telling us that 5 does not work. So I'm going to try with negative 5. So this is what I call try and error here. Means you have to keep on trying. Okay, that's why a lot of students doesn't like to do this test, is because this is the last few questions. Yes, some of you asked me, yes, there are 16 questions, and all your questions are in order. Means that the first few questions are in chapter 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So they put in order. So this will be almost towards the end of the questions. So you can tell that when you go towards the end, you will figure out you have to do a lot of this try and error here. So that's a 5. So you get a 5 here. This will look better. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. You get 1. The reason why I say it looks better is because this number getting smaller, which is negative. This will give me 5, negative 5, because, and then add this one is 5, and then negative 5 plus. Ooh, this is work. Perfect. This work. But unfortunately, I want to tell you that because this is a power 4, so you have to actually perform one more syntactic division, because as you know that power 4, you have to make it to power 2. So you have to do it twice. So by looking this 1, 5, 1, 5, they kind of give you a hint that you're going to use negative 5 again. Yes, you can reuse the same number again. So 1, negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, which is 0. And then negative 5 and 0 is 0, you get 1. And then this will give me negative 5, and you get 0. So this is good news, is this is get into what we call as a quadratic. So this is going to be x squared plus 1 equals to 0, because our middle term is nothing. Now you solve for x. So when you move the 1 over, it becomes negative 1. And then when you take the square root, don't forget to put plus minus on it. So negative 1 in this case is actually I, plus minus I. So your answer in this case will be plus minus I and negative 5. Although it counts as 2, we call it as multiplicity of 2 even. We only write this as 1. So your answer in this case in the in the factor form is x plus 5 squared. And the reason why I have to put it x plus 5 is because there is a minus 5 here, so I have to switch the sign. The reason why there's a square because you got twice of this. And then this one will become x squared plus 1. Where is the x squared plus 1 comes from? The x squared plus 1 comes from this here. This is the x squared plus 1 come from. Okay, before you solve it. Now they want you to get the zeros. So the zeros will be negative 5. And it comes from the plus 5 here. Negative I and I. So this is how you get your answer here for the real zero, all the zeros. So when you guys do the test, you have to be careful. If the question asks you to write this in a factor form means you take this, change the factor, and then x squared plus 1, that's the factor form. And then they ask you for zeros, then you have to solve it. This is negative 5, and this is plus minus I. So this is how we do this kind of questions on 25. And it's tough because it comes with x4. You have to do this twice, okay? So yes, this kind of questions is coming up in your test on Tuesday. So that's why it takes a bit more time to do it. It's not easy, okay? So the rest, just go through it. The Descartes rule of sign, I'm not coming up in your test, so do not worry about it. So make sure that, so upper, lower, also don't worry about it. So mostly in the test will come up mostly like up to 25. Don't worry about Descartes rule of sign and the upper, lower case here. So I would recommend you to try to do these questions. And if you have any questions, let me know. And your test is on Tuesday. You have 4 homework due on this Monday. So I'm going to stop sharing here and stop recording here. Does anyone have any